Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 11th. Welcome to another episode of Together San Diego. I'm your host, Luis Cruz, Community Relations Director for the San Diego Union Tribune. Joining me this afternoon is Chris Hulbert, Director of Development at the National Conflict Resolution Center. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. It's a real pleasure.
It's my pleasure as well. On August 20th, NCRC is hosting a free national online conversation about race. You'll be addressing the question, how do we talk about race in a way that unites and strengthens us as a community? Tell us about a Path Forward event.
Yeah, thank you. Super excited about this because we have been able to put together a combination of the nation's two leading scholars and authors, Ibram X. Kendi, who is the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, New York Times #1 bestseller, and Robin DiAngelo, who also is a #1 bestseller with White Fragility. They're coming together to share in a conversation led by Wes Lowry, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist at CBS News. So our goal is to bring together these national voices, these national authorities, to help us have the conversation. How do we begin to do the work that's necessary to bring ourselves out of this latest crisis and make progress and make some lasting change? And the National Conflict Resolution Center has been at this work for almost 40 years. And so we wanted to reach out to those who are on the cutting edge to really inform the work that we're doing and lead the conversation for San Diego and the nation.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. I should mention, though, the San Diego Union Tribune is a proud sponsor of this event as well. Chris, why did the National Conflict Resolution Center decide to organize this event?
You know, A Path Forward, the title of the event, began a year ago, actually, in partnership with the San Diego Union Tribune. It was a community response to the shooting and the killing at the synagogue in Poway. We brought together faith leaders from around the nation from cities where there had been religious hatred, religious shooting, religious violence. And we brought them together to learn from their experiences to discover what's the path forward for our community out of this shocking violence in Poway. NCRC with the Union Tribune and the University of San Diego School of Peace and Justice. We then led a series of dialogue, community dialogue, bringing people together around diversity, around different backgrounds and cultures to meet each other, talk to each other, work together to form relationships and community. This year, of course, the issue is similar and every bit as shocking, and it arises out of the obvious racism, the killing of George Floyd, the killing of many others around the country, and the nation's sensitivity to we're still in this mess, and how do we go forward? So we have taken the same programming, the same skills, the same tools, focused all of our resources on the issue of racism and racial injustice. And again, what is the path forward so that we can grow out of this, even in this unusual time with the pandemic?
And Chris, what has the response been to the August 20th event, and what can people expect?
Yeah, the response, maybe as you would expect, has been overwhelming. As of this morning, we have over 5,000 registered guests for the virtual event, which will play on August 20th at 7 o'clock Pacific. It's free. You need to register, but it's free and it's accessible from anywhere in the world, really, as long as you have an internet connection. And it's going to feature the work that we're doing at the National Conflict Resolution Center around a path forward. We'll explain how we are bringing people together to train them in the art of inclusive communication, to create community dialogue and circles around diversity and cultural differences so that we can form new relationships and build stronger community. And then we'll hear from these authors, as I mentioned, who will really help shape the conversation and help us grow together in the path forward.
Okay. And there's also a fundraising component to this, correct?
You're right. After we'll describe the programming that we're doing, there's an invitation for people to make a gift to support that work if they want to. It's not required. As I said, the event is free, but it also is an event for us to showcase the work that we're doing that we believe is what the nation needs. Not only locally in San Diego, but really we've created a model for the nation to lead us out of this very unusual time. And we've been doing the work here locally, and we could do so much more if we had more support. So there has already been a great deal of sponsorship and support, and then there'll be an opportunity to make a gift during the event for anybody who is moved.
And again, people can register by going to your website at ncrconline.com. There you can find all the information. And again, it's a free event. I'm looking forward to it. How can members of the community support the mission of NCRC?
Well, I would really encourage at least two, maybe three different ways. Certainly one way is to take a training, and they will be explained and offered at the event on August 20th. Two trainings in particular. One is called The Art of Inclusive Communication. It's to learn about communication styles and differences, and to understand how to manage a conversation, particularly one that's in conflict, and how to do that most effectively. So many times people are afraid of difference. They're afraid of conflict. At the National Conflict Resolution Center, we would say conflict is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to discover the best solutions. And so this training would help people do that and enter into conflict more effectively. The other really critical training is what we call the bystander challenge. It's the one that really helps shape the culture. We all see people behaving badly, saying something outrageous, saying something offensive or harassing, and we tend to stay quiet, stay away, and ignore it and not do anything. The bystander challenge is, what about the rest of us? How can we intervene effectively to correct aggressive behavior or abusive behavior, and do that effectively so that we shape the culture in our workplace, in our home, in our community? So training is an essential first step. The next step would be, let's come together and meet with each other. And so even in this virtual environment, we have been facilitating community dialogue where we bring people together, people from around the community, from all backgrounds, from all political persuasions, all cultural differences, to meet each other, listen to each other, sit with each other, and create relationships. It's the old-fashioned real work of community building. And it works because you can't hate the person that you know, and you can't disrespect or tolerate injustice for the person that you've created a relationship with. So this coming together across differences to meet each other and create relationship is essential. And we're offering an awful lot of that, even in this virtual environment. And then lastly is the opportunity to support us financially. We are implementing the work that's necessary to build community even through the pandemic and to help us move out of racial injustice. And we need your help. And so there's always an opportunity for us to do more.
I've had the opportunity to attend some of your events where you have these circles, and you're interacting with all kinds of different people that show up, strangers. A lot of the people we interact with are strangers, and you share a lot about yourself, and you end up forming a bond with the people in your circle. These were in-person events. How are you working with people in this time of COVID?
Yeah. We moved at the National Conflict Resolution Center, we moved all of our services to the virtual environment in early March, actually right before the original shutdown occurred in March. And so we've continued nonstop. We're fully staffed, we're fully functioning, we're providing all the services that we have always been providing in the virtual space. And so we conduct an awful lot on Zoom gatherings, and that allows for facilitation into small breakout groups. to have large discussions, to have small discussions. And it actually, in many ways, makes it more accessible because you don't have to travel, you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to figure out parking. It's as convenient as your own home. It also expands the access beyond the community. So now in our virtual gatherings, there are people from all over. They're accessible from anywhere. As this event on August 20th will be, there'll be people from all over the nation attending. So in some ways, the virtual environment has created more opportunity and still allows for that interaction at a very personal and human level.
Right. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about other things making news. Obviously, masks are a big thing that seem to be dividing this country. It's become wearing masks and the issue of masks has become politicized. Steve Dinkin, who is the president of the National Conflict Resolution Center, is a contributing columnist to the San Diego Union Tribune. He recently wrote this column titled Mask Hysteria, The Return of the Defiant and Compliant. Can you tell us about this column, Chris, and NCRC, what the message you'd like to get out there?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. The column is also called A Path Forward. It came out of the initial partnership with the Union Tribune last year in response to the synagogue shooting. And it's a place where Steve Dinkin, our president and CEO, deals with timely topics, with relevant topics, and delivers the sort of mediation skill, the communication skill that we would use at NCRC to address these really relevant issues. We've been interviewed several times now around the nation about the mask debates. Most interestingly has been, what about those people at restaurants and bars and stores, the workers who encounter a customer who doesn't want to wear a mask? How can we train and support those workers who are now given the burden of enforcing this policy with customers who might not want to comply? And it's a challenge, particularly for hospitality workers, because they're used to doing whatever they can do to accommodate the customer. And here they have to have a completely different mindset. They have to enforce the policy. And it's a difficult skill, a new skill for workers in that situation. And so we really have, we've emphasized and developed a training exactly around that, where we practice the techniques. And I'll just give you 3 simple steps in that. There's more to it than this, but we refer to it in the acronym of ART. ART is active awareness, respond respectfully, and troubleshoot together. So awareness is first for the person to check in with your own emotions. What are your own biases about masks or not masks? What are your own biases that you're bringing to the conversation? And can you keep your own emotions in control and be aware of what you're feeling so that you can actually listen to what the other person has to say? Yeah. It's the listening and respond respectfully that is most helpful. We're not going to argue about masks. We're not going to debate the science, but we can listen, respect somebody's different perspective, and then troubleshoot together. How can I, help this person comply with the policies so that we can serve dinner or serve a drink?
Yeah. And Chris, I mean, how did masks become so politicized?
That's a great question, Louise. What we have seen over the last many years is conflict being used as a tool to divide. And that's exactly what the National Conflict Resolution Center has always been trying to work against. We, by contrast, see conflict as an opportunity to work together to find common solutions. We would favor the full competition of good ideas so that we can discover the best ideas. That's what has always led America to be most innovative. What's happening now is conflict is being used for the sake of conflict to create division and separation. And that division and separation is causing harm because our communities are being torn apart. We're being less connected. We're feeling more and more isolated. And that's not going to serve us well in the long run, particularly in this time during the coronavirus pandemic, when we're all starving for interaction and relationship. So coming together to form common solutions is more important now than ever. And not just harping on conflict, but reaching through for solutions.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love what NCRC does and what you do in trying to help people come together. It's there are a lot of difficult conversations right now, especially when it comes to race, when it comes to masks, you name it. How can you bring up some of these conversations without, I guess, yelling and shouting at each other?
Yeah, so there has to be some humility, really. And so when we would talk about active awareness, again, we're checking in with your own state of mind, with your own emotional state. Can I be genuinely curious about the other person's point of view? That's a different mindset from trying to beat you down or convince you that you're wrong or start name calling and, tell you that you're an idiot because you think differently than I do. Can I actually just ask questions and seek to understand, to discover more about your perspective? That genuine interest and listening and curiosity tends almost magically to diffuse the emotion, and people start listening to each other. And once we believe that we respect each other because you're willing to listen to me and I've demonstrated that I'm willing to listen to you, well, then we can actually work together to try to figure out what's a solution instead of the personal attacks that people sort of slip into now. So there are real skills and strategies that can be used. We need to relearn them. They're the skills that a mediator uses when bringing people together across a conflict. And that's the origin of the National Conflict Resolution Center. We all began as mediators, and then we realized we could deliver these skills and techniques to anyone. We need those skills now so that we're not afraid to talk to each other and we can actually work through conflict towards solution.
Chris, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I would really like to thank the San Diego Union Tribune for its commitment to community building and its commitment to the path forward. It's not easy, really, to step into this space and be willing to bring people together across dispute, because you never know exactly how it's going to go, right? We're always a little bit afraid that the thing might blow up. But actually what we learn over and over again is that people want to make peace. People want to find common ground. People want to build stronger communities. So I really thank the Union Tribune for its commitment to that necessary work and for its support of the National Conflict Resolution Center in a path forward.
Well, and we're proud to be a partner of this event. Once again, we hope those of you watching will join us on August 20th for this free national online conversation on race featuring best-selling authors Ibram X. Kendi, Robin DiAngelo, and Wesley Lowery. And you can register by logging on to ncrconline.com. Again, it is completely free, and we hope you'll be able to join us. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Chris Hulbert, Director of Development at the National Conflict Resolution Center. As always, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Luis, and thank you. It's been a great fun to be with you today.
Likewise. Thank you at home for watching. Have a great day, everybody.
Have you heard the news? There's a global health crisis going on right now. It's a deadly and highly contagious virus. They call it COVID-19. I'm Bill Walton, here with a challenge to all of you. We're having a contest sponsored by our San Diego Union Tribune. Send us your ideas for different public service announcements, PSAs, or maybe your idea for a print ad or a social media video, whatever your means of communication are. And show us your thoughts on how we can all help stop the spread of COVID-19. The winner with the best idea gets $2,500. And I'm one of the judges. I'm talking to you. Wear a mask, practice social distancing, wash your hands, and be proactive on your own health.
Until we have a vaccine, masks and social distancing really are the best way to bend the curve. So next time you go out into public, remember, wear a mask. It's not about politics, it's about common sense.
We can stop the spread. We just have to distance, wash, and wear. We've got to stop the spread together, San Diego.
Together, San Diego. Let's get it done.